Hello everyone, and welcome to Linux Forensics here at Pentester Academy. In this video, we're going to pick up from the last video and we're going to look at the other side of our shell scripts. We talked about the forensics workstation side, or server side if you will, and now we're going to talk about the subject system side or client side. What we did with our scripting last time is we set up some listeners, and here I have a couple of simple scripts which can be used in order to send log information or send actual files. And this will be the basis for building up a couple of other scripts which can send multiple bits of information across to your forensics workstation. So here's the first script we will look at. It's called sendLog, and notice there is no shebang at the top. And the reason for that should be obvious. We earlier showed you how to start your own shell with a known good shell and mount your known good binaries. So you don't want to be running their version of bash. You want to run your version of bash explicitly, and that's what we'll do. So you have to actually type bash and the name of the script. There are a couple of environment variables that could be set up in another script that I'll show you soon, or you can do them on the command line. One of them is called rhost, remote host, and the other one is called rport for remote port. So what these lines do is they say, if this is 0, if this is an empty string, then this will be run. And this is using some short-circuiting logic. And how does that work? Well, if this conditional test is true, yes, it was blank, then the next half of this AND statement will be run. If this returns false, then the next half will not be run because there's no point. There's no way that this conditional statement could return true overall if this half is false and this half is true. So it's a little trick that you can do with shell scripting, and I do that for both the host and port variables. As before, we have a little usage function that will print out a usage statement telling you should have passed in a command or script to run, and it exits. Now when we come to the meat of the script, we check and we say, is there less than one parameter passed in? If there is, show usage. Otherwise, echo -e says, please expand the backslash characters such as \n, and it sends plus signs sending log for $@. $@ is all of the command line parameters. At, once again, date and time, some plus signs, a new line, and then we run the command using that same construct, $, parentheses, and in the parentheses, the command to be run, a new line, some dashes, and the word end, and some more dashes, and a new line. All of that gets sent to our socket, our listener on the other machine, at our host is the IP, and our port is the port. We have another script here for sending files. Once again, I have this construct for setting up default variables. In this case, we have two additional environment variables, RF port for receiving a file name, RFT port for receiving a file transfer. Usage, once again, there's one parameter, the file name. And here I say, did you give me a parameter? If not, you get the usage statement and it exits. Otherwise, I will log this to my log listener by echoing, attempting to send file, whatever I was passed in at date and time. And I pipe that to netcat, our host, our port. Then I send the name. I send the name, and I only want to send the base name in this case. And I pipe that to our host, RF port. Recall from the previous video that this will cause a new listener to be created. I let it sleep for 5 seconds just to give it time to make sure this is fully up. And then I cat to our host RFT port my file. And that's what this construct does. I call netcat, and this might look a little backwards and strange if you haven't done this before, but this is going to send my file to this netcat process. I created a simple shell script that's called setup client, and it allows you to call this and set up IP address and optionally non-default log ports, non-default file name ports, and non-default file transport ports. So if you didn't give it at least one parameter, you're going to get the usage. And if you passed in any parameters at all, it's going to export some variables for your environment. One thing I should point out about this, and we'll show you in some future videos how to actually use these scripts, but I should point out that you have to run source and then the script. And the reason for that is a script is not allowed to change the environment of its parent. So you can't just simply run this on your terminal and expect it to change the parent shell environment. We'll show you how to do that in a future video. Well, that's all for this video. As always, if you're enjoying these videos, please tell a friend. We'll see you soon.